Hi, this is an episode of Help Me Be Me. Happy New Year. I was gonna record this last year, so imagine that it's being posted last year. I feel like it's a hybrid. It's an end of year but New Year episode, in that it's for processing things and reflecting on things. It's called Riding the Wave of Self. So I don't know if anybody out there has had the experience recently where they are depleted or emotionally, energetically crashing a bit. I feel like the holidays can bring that on a lot for, especially for people who have others that they take care of or play multiple roles. It could also happen if you just have uh, a lot of uncertainty or range of unpredictable factors in your life. So, if this sounds relatable in any way, I think that this is especially something that happens to porous people or people who are very creative or sensitive. So, this is an episode that is a reminder, a refresher, a reminder to ride that wave and think of it as a rebirth. Like it is a short step in the cycle of moving through processing changes and new stages. And this too is normal and it is just part of a transition. So often that dip of energy is kind of a signal, I call it a check engine light, that is alerting you to the need to rest, take stock, look inward, and really go through the motions of caring for your energy, caring for your chemicals, and just go through the motions of caring for your body. So I have a bunch of tools in this one. A lot of them are very light and fun. And in general, this is for recognizing when you're depleted, when you're defensive or clingy, and coming back home to a solid, positive mindset. And there are three parts in this episode: the what, the why, and the how, the tools. Part one, the what. Pardon. At the end of the year, the beginning of a new year, one can feel depleted or stuck. And in a lot of that moment, what happens is we start to attach to a story about what's happening. We start to say, "Oh, it's because of blank. Oh no, it's because I'm doing XYZ and like this thing's wrong and that thing's wrong." We start telling stories that catalyze new feelings. And really in that moment of feeling the the barrenness, what we have to do is just start to practice ease and spaciousness. And it is such a relief to come home to that memory of like, oh, I don't have to struggle. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is take it easy. First things first, work on my body, work on my chemicals. And when we can go into that memory and recall that everything can and will be okay, we can actually jump, what I call jump the rails. We can jump out of that feeling pretty quickly. We can get a new clarity, a memory of what it is to not be in that feeling. And then we start to practice the new feelings. So when we're in that anxious, dread feeling, it's really rooted in defensiveness, like a feeling of needing to control something, near a resistance of powerlessness. And that feeling of powerlessness is usually what triggers all the old, the broken record of all these other feelings, because those are tied to so many memories of when we could not tolerate something and could not handle it, so we had to avoid it. So in the present, we're thinking, I can't go there, I can't go there. But we actually can just skip it. It's not even real. So when we're in that feeling of end of year, beginning of year emptiness, what it comes with is a feeling of like you're a stone. There's like nothing more to give, a feeling of bleakness, kind of like dead end perspective, like there's nothing there. It's kind of like a deadness. And what that can also trigger is a feeling of guilt. Like, especially if you're a parent, you might feel like, wow, I'm not enough. I'm not good at this. I'm failing at all of these things, all of these roles in my life. I'm not a good partner. I'm not a good parent. I'm not a good blank. I have no juices left. I'm empty. I'm nothing. It's like we're attaching all these meanings to the felt experience. And really what's happening is your body's just in an energy saving mode, and you're just going through the motions. You're trying to preserve functioning energy, like that low battery icon is on. Part two, the why. How how all things in our life operate is they activate things. So beliefs activate feelings, they activate actions, they activate purpose, they activate all sorts of things. And it they work in both directions. So oftentimes we'll act out something that is true, we express something that is true. And then also a belief or a feeling will conjure a story that then we enact. So it's like both things can activate a life, something that's true, but also something that is similar to a feeling that we had a long time ago. And when you are activated by a truth that is like, an actual thing that is arising that you cannot ignore, it is, I think, in all cases, a positive because you will find that when you validate it, it builds momentum in your life and it increases your flow of energy. So if you're like aligning with truth in yourself, if you have a passion for something, if you have a dream for something and you validate that feeling, it fuels you, it builds momentum on itself because it is outside of you. It is just true. If there is like a spiritual belief in your life that is positive and it's bringing good change, it it will feel natural to invest in it because it fuels itself. It's coming from something that is cosmic in many ways. And I think a lot about kind of fostering and curating that energy, finding the truth and building momentum around it. There's the flip side of something that builds momentum in our life that is often tied to a physical symptom and a memory attached to that physical symptom. And I always think of that as like these broken records, these old records that we put on a record player and they play out a specific narrative. And then that catalyzes the next narrative and the next one and the next one. And before you know it, you're like in a head movie that's like, you know, 10 months long and none of it is present or true. It's all old and it was just triggered by a feeling in your body. Every emotion for different people will trigger a story. And sometimes I visualize it as like a beta VHS tape for my 80s, 90s friends out there. It's like this, old specific story that we tell ourselves about a feeling. And then they all bring with them the collection of other feelings. And so those stories have corresponding emotions and usually rumination games. It's like a very elaborate rumination story about the world and our role in it and who we are and what it means and what the future holds. And all of that is something we developed in order to feel safe and in control of bad feelings. Like, I'm telling the story, I'm the author, I'm the one in control of the pain. And that is usually set in stone by a very young age. And because of the powerlessness, we cope by telling these stories. So if you are a healthy, functioning adult and you have some of these very familiar old stories that are kind of you hit the play button and you're starting to see hopelessness, darkness, that is your check engine light. It's really just oh, you're out of oil. It's not in other words, don't get attached to the lyrics. It's just your mood is offline. There's such a familiar state of myopia that comes with mood dysregulation or a lack of serotonin in your gut. So if you are feeling that way, if you're feeling that bleakness, that dead end type of thought style, check. It's that light blinking. You got to check the usual suspects. I'm going to throw out a couple of common reasons that happens. You're drinking regularly. You have killed your gut bacteria from alcohol. You have been sick recently. You're taking antibiotics. You've been incredibly stressed. All of those things kill a lot of bacteria in your gut, and your gut creates 90% of your serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter, which is responsible for so much of your mood regulation. Just throwing that out there because I think it's one of those things we don't really recognize is like the difference between reality and not. Same with sleep. Not sleeping, it's like a light switch on the world. Totally different world, totally different set of problems, totally different understanding of everything in the world between those two switches. So, with that, here is part three, the how, the tools. But first, a brief word from our sponsors. Okay, the first tool, a joyful journal practice. This is a light and easy, fun one. And I want you to do it because it's lovely. I want you to write 10 things you are grateful for about yourself. And in light of your last year, in light of your holiday experience, 10 things you're grateful for about you. Next tool, also a journal prompt. My amazing year of firsts. I think one really enjoyable practice is to go through our previous year as we look to the year to come and look at all of the things we did for the first time and all of those accomplishments because you probably forgot about a lot of them. It's easy to overlook how much work goes into a year and how much newness and trial and fear and change we have traversed in a year. That's the second tool. Third tool, the SpongeBob rule. This is one for my creative friends out there. This is just a gentle reminder to find solace in self in the face of all of the change, all of the uncertainty in the world right now for creative people, and to remember that your greatest source of power and potential and magic is in what you create that is fully uninhibited by the rules of culture and society. And when in doubt, when in fear, when in a lack perspective, go straight into your weirdness, your creativity, your joy for creation. And I think the best example of that is like SpongeBob. If you watch OG, I mean, new SpongeBob too, but if you watch a season of SpongeBob, you'll be like, this is so fucking weird and amazing. And does not play by anybody else's rules. I mean, other content that fits in this category is anything done by Miyazaki or his studio. And Girl Talk. Girl Talk, that album, Too Many DJs. If you listen to that, any Girl Talk album, it's just like unadulterated creative power. It's so just inspiring and magical. So if you're getting into that fear, lack, restricted, constricted, danger, I'm disposable, I'm nothing, whatever that energy is, like go right into the vein of pure free expression. That is like where energy and value lives. Truly, like no one can take that away from you. It fuels other people. It exists on its own playing field and is the value cannot be taken from it. Next tool, where am I? Oh, for live streaming regrets. We are all very sensitive to the things that mean the most to us, and they are the things that cause us to ruminate the most. And also anything that really had left a mark from our origin. So we will judge ourselves the most harshly here. So if you are a person who has like an active live streaming regret rumination channel in your brain about something specific, first of all, notice it. Notice topically where it lies. What is it related to? It's probably an unmet need, tied to an unmet need that is very special, very squishy and soft to you. And then second, I want you to go through these steps. Number one, give yourself grace. Be kind. We need to be first kind to ourselves. Otherwise, we are not going to be able to be good to anybody else. You have to be very kind and respectful to yourself. So give yourself grace. Number two, put awareness and intention on it. Just really think concretely and soberly about what is the 1 millimeter of change I intend to create around this thing. Just 1 millimeter of change, whatever it is. And step three, know that it's true and let it go. As soon as you have genuine intention around something, our our struggle to believe ourselves is what creates all the conflict around it. If if you have real intention around it and real passion for this thing, and you have become very finite about the thing you want to change, you can take heart in knowing all growth begins like this. Change is already in progress. It will happen because it means something to you. And your only real challenge is to stay conscious and to stay in a place where you have agency. And I say that because a lot of us get into a compromised energetic setting for a large portion of our lives where we're in a threat state, we're in a reactive survival state. So if you're in a reactive survival state, everything is your victim of that state. So your most important job in order to have agency in your life is to regulate so that you're resourced. So you're not operating from a threat state and you have the ability to be conscious. All right. The next tool, number one rule for life. I think this is honestly what I use the most to get relief throughout my life, and it's always true. It's not about you. It's not about you. Don't take it personally. Whatever it is, literally whatever it is, it's not your fault. It's not about you. Just take yourself out of the equation. I think so much of the that we experience in our life is we take other things personally. We make them about us. We make them at us, a judgment on us. Even if somebody's literally saying something mean to you, about you, not about you. Literally, not about you. And so, like, really just try that on for size in your head. What does that look like? Energetically, what does that look like in your body to feel that way? Someone saying something mean to me right now, at me. How can I find peace, love, compassion in my body and see this scene from that perspective? All the same things are true, but like it's a totally different view of reality. It's fucking nuts, man. And so freeing. It's such relief. It's like all of a sudden things just like slide off of you and you're like, oh, I'm sorry. I love you. It's such a different reality. Okay, cool. Next tool, rail jump. I already mentioned this one up top, but if you are in a mood that is dipping, remember, oh, it's my check engine light. You don't have to give into the scripts and the labels that we start to ascribe to them. We start to give them little sticky notes of this means this and like, oh, that's gonna mean this now. And I'm probably feeling this way because of all of these things that are wrong. That's a ruse. Like, so as soon as you get in that dip, the check engine light is on. First things first, what do I need to do to take care of my chemicals? What can I do to boost my chemicals? Usually what I'm doing is eating kimchi or sauerkraut if I can't find that. And then I am going outside in the sun. I am getting exercise. I am being social. I am making sure I'm rested. I am connecting to a person. I mean, there's like 10 things. Whatever your 10 things are, you got to do those things. And then also just stop the rumination. The rumination is the rehearsal of feelings and solidifying the feelings. All right, next tool. What's your wrist tattoo? I know it's not just me. I know that there are many of you out there who will often consider like getting a tattoo on their wrist of a certain phrase. And that is just because we really mean it and we don't want to forget it. And it's that meaningful and that spiritual that we're like, should we get it tattooed on our wrist or forearm? I want you to think about today, what is your wrist tattoo right now? Write it in a ballpoint pen if you want. But the thing that you want to remind yourself is essential to life. And know that you really mean it. But like, what is your thing? What's your phrase? Mine is play. Play. That's it. I mean, I forget to enjoy life. I forget to have the spaciousness to schedule that, to make that important. It's so easy to fall into the unconscious doing rhythm of survival mode, and it will be rewarded by everyone around you. Everyone will be like, "Yeah, do it. Do it." So we have to remember to like step back and do the thing that like no one's gonna be like, great job at having tea for 10 minutes by yourself. Like, no, that's stuff you have to do. And you have to remember will make your life better in in exponentially more positive ways, like end of life ways where you're like, yeah, I did it all right. I did it all right. Okay. Next tool is a mantra. Little things go a long way. I think when we get into that really survival sort of lack, bleak, kind of constricted state, we think, I can't, but I can. I'm doing everything I can. And just a gentle reminder, little things create reality. They go a long way. Just start real small, tiny, tiny, tiny changes. Tiny, tiny, tiny changes. Related, the next tool, the parent, the used paper towel. This is a tool for all of the parents out there who feel intense resent at being asked to do anything in addition to what they already do. Just put intention on that millimeter of change and allow that energy just to be more present in your psyche. Allow yourself to be open to that truth and let go of whether or not whatever you do is going to be enough. And I say that because when you're a parent who works or you're caring for other people, you will often feel like a used paper towel, like the kind that has been used to clean up juice and then wrung out and then used to be cleaning up poop off the ground. There's a sense that we are meant to be all things all the time. Beautiful, fun, light, joyful, hilarious. Also work, clean, make magic for your family, order all the things, pay all the bills, make all the lunches, make the appointments, pay for the insurance, submit itemized bills, all of the things. And then also be like, I'm so fun and frivolous. It can feel like if somebody asks you to change something, it can feel like a needle in a balloon, you know? So I wanted to call this out because the imbalance in your overfunctioning is in part an identity that we are co-creators in. And so in the moment of the feeling of like explosion, I invite you to step back and ask yourself, how can I change my relationship to the choices I make? And I say that because like in truth, you probably won't change a whole lot about what you do, but the lens by which we approach our choices is a different person. It's a different identity. I think when you're a caregiver, you are a godlike machine in all that you create, all that you manage, all that you accomplish. And then you also have this task of being an alive and joyful person on top of that. So it's like that negotiation is such a tiny, delicate dance. It's such a something that we need to really consciously regulate for ourselves. That is the spiritual practice. And all I'm asking you to do is step back from the put upon role, the put upon story of but I'm doing all of this and I'm a victim. Just that's not you. That part is unnecessary and also just like pollutes and corrupts the beauty of the role, you know? So come out of that and come back to this is a choice. I make it proudly. How can I tune my energy to be more present with love as the fuel and let go of whether or not it's enough? Let go of whether or not it's done right to anybody else's standards. How can I come back into that energy of my life is a gift? I am fueled by love. And the next tool, what are you rehearsing? This is for stuckness in particular. I think a lot of what happens, especially if you're in a creative field, so much of life is the pursuit of a project, for creative people. And that loop of hope, of pitching, of trying to achieve something. And if you are in that state chronically without actualizing a goal, what happens is energetically we're practicing impotence. We're practicing the loop of disappointment. So what happens in our actual body is we start to already anticipate the failure. We already anticipate the loss. It fucks with your energy. It fucks with your momentum and your flow. So in that state, if that sounds familiar to you, if you are feeling stuck energetically, we need to start to rebuild that spiritual force that is momentum. We need to start practicing the energy of ease and success. And in order to do that, you have to be very effective at something. So what I'm asking you to do is do something that you're really good at. Think of a project, think of a job, think of an assignment that you can do really well, that is achievable. Even if it's not something that is your identity, means so much to you, do something that is easy for you, that you are good at, where you surround yourself with your people, your team, people you love, who get you, who see you, who you appreciate, that is achievable. And practice success. Practice repeatedly seeing yourself as successful. That is how we start to build up the energy flow of momentum and of actualizing. And that will contribute to our creative goals as well. That is just how you get unstuck. All right, the next tool, buy some kimchi. That's literally the tool. I put this in here because I think it's such a huge part of your brain and people don't think about it. If you are a person who's feeling energetically compromised, if you hate Korean food, buy some sauerkraut. But if you've been really stressed, if you've taken any form of antibiotics, buy some fermented something and eat it regularly and just see how different you feel. Just recognize the difference in your emotions and your ability to imagine. That's what it changes. It's like your brain. I remember when I was a young, very messed up teenager, I was on antibiotics for many months. And I remember feeling like I was dead. It felt like I was like a dead person. It's like your gut bacteria is your brain. So buy some kimchi. All right, next tool. You are who you practice being. I think one thing that is, it's easy to forget that we are not static. We are not a sum. We are a practice, a living practice, a routine of actions. And all of those things are malleable. They can change now. You can change who you are right now in just the things you do today, in the actions you take today and tomorrow and the next day, en masse. So don't give yourself a summary, because in general, that's a cop-out. If you just say, I am blank, that's saying I will choose to be blank. So you are who you practice being. All right, the next tool, put it in the God box. I don't know if you have one, but you should make one. It doesn't have to be called a God box. I was so triggered by that word. My friend Lori Burns, founder of the Teen Project, gave me one for helping out on a project, and it freaked me out so much that I almost threw it away. But what this basically means is I'm handing it over to the universe. I'm handing it over to fate, to spiritual energy to solve for me because I am not the author of the future. I let go of my illusion that I am controlling what happens. And it's such a great tool for rumination, for fear, for anxiety. If you are a person who feels like you're like, I don't know how to solve this thing and it's bugging me and I'm so worried, just put it in your universe box, your God box, whatever it is, and just write the thing that you're worried about on a piece of paper and hand it over to higher powers to solve. It's not your job to solve for everything in the future. It's your job to accept and let go and move through life from a place of truth, honesty, and love. The end. All right. The next tool for big, hard convos. This is just a general reminder that if you are going to have any big, hard conversation, the most effective way to have it is calmly and with your ears wide open, because the insight you will gain is it'll heal your life. It'll heal the situation when you can learn all of the truth that exists. When we're not reactive, we can act in a more pleasant, open way that honors who we are and we'll feel good about ourselves. And we also can hear the information as not bad, it just is. So if we can just resume that state of complete peace, non-reactivity, just ingest what we are there to hear, allow the information to arrive and not judge it. That is like, it's such a weird, I don't know, game changer way to approach all conflict. Like, I think a lot about the telepathy tapes and what it means for all thoughts to be instantly communicated. And it just means that like there's no such thing as bad information. It's just information. So if we can experience communication in the same way, it's like we don't have to resist it. We don't have to be reactive, defensive. It's just enlightening. The information becomes enlightening. It doesn't become mean. It just is. All right. The next tool is the boundary game. This one I wanted to give before the holidays. I guess there's still some kind of holiday stuff happening, but this is for if you are a person who has a commitment that involves old family members, old relationships, and it's kind of keeping you very worried. It's keeping you energetically kind of occupied. That is often your body telling you that your boundaries are going to be threatened. It's a healthy response that you're likely aware that your healed boundaries are going to be compromised by this situation. So that feeling of dread is like health speaking. It'll likely also come with guilt because we judge ourselves for this desire for health, this desire for distance, especially with like family relationships. So if that sounds familiar, I'm going to offer this game for playing around that situation. If you are a person that's like, I have to enter this situation, I know it's going to compromise my boundaries, I know it's going to make me feel really uncomfortable. Before you go to the situation, really what I want you to do is externalize it. Keep the situation not in your emotional reaction, but keep it outside of you and treat it like a little trivia game. I want you to write 10 things on a list that you think will happen that will cross your boundaries, violate a boundary. And then at the end of that list, I want you to write a prize that you will get yourself if all of these things happen. And then during that situation, like X them off in your, if it's in your phone, like check them off as they occur. And if you get all of them, you reward yourself with a prize. The reason that this is helpful is because then you're inside a protective bubble with yourself. And it's all kind of like this like amusing movie versus I am not predicting it and I am a victim of it and it hurts as soon as it arises. And you can give yourself bonus points if something that's not on your list happens, but that is kind of peripheral. All right, next tool, scan back. I wanted to invite you to look back in your journal at your gratitudes throughout the year and just see what you wrote. What were the things that were truly the most meaningful for you? And look at the silver linings. Like, look at the things that you didn't plan for, that you didn't necessarily want, and just see the common threads in your grats. I think what you'll find is So many are tied to people, to sharing connection, to sharing truth. But whatever they are, just take note. So this is feedback for the future. Okay. And I have two more tools, and then that's the show. The next tool for doom spirals and attachment issues, allow for the loops. That's it. Allow for the loops. Allow for life to be hard for periods of time. Really, we have to remember if you are a person that has attachment issues, like any form of another person's problems will feel so dangerous and toxic to your body. It'll feel like devastating and almost like deadly, you know? It'll induce such a feeling of like danger and dread. So remember to play the long game and think of your life in terms of, in your relationships, in terms of years, not days, not weeks, years. Unless you are in a legit toxic relationship, this is like for if you know you're not in a dangerous relationship or a super toxic relationship. But like, remember, life will be hard for periods of time because people are also individuals that are going through dramatic changes as solo people. And if you are in a stage where things don't feel good, allow yourself to step back. Remember that what you put in, you also get back. And so if you are obsessing about what is wrong, back up from it. And I'm just going to give you a couple questions to ask yourself if it helps. Might not help, but if it does, in your journal, what was true a week ago? Next prompt, what was true a year ago? Next prompt, what is this opening for me as a door to change? It's always, especially if it's like a real conflict, it's like a wall of, forcing change. There's an opportunity here. So I want you to ask yourself what it is. What is this bringing forth for me? And the very last tool is a journal prompt for ambivalence. Pardonnez-moi. Usually, if we're ambivalent or we're ruminating, there's something we don't want to confront and it's nagging us. And so I have a couple of prompts to soothe that in particular. What, if anything, can I own as true? What is a truth I don't want to write that I can allow myself to try on and attach to or not? See if it's true or not. And then last prompt, if this is triggered by someone else, can I see the validity of this person's perspective? Can I see that what they're saying, what they're feeling is true? Just like allow it all to be processed so that you can throw it away. It's like I feel like in the ambivalence, we're resisting. So those are all the tools. I know they're all over the place, but I hope there is something that helped give you some grounding, some soothing in some area during this time. Before I close, I want to thank everybody for your comments on Spotify. So nice to read them. I just figured out how to connect my creator profile, so I'll be writing back to you as soon as I find them. And then if anyone has an episode that you think could help somebody else, please share it. It really helps the show. And that's it. In closing, remember to be gentle with yourself and be gentle with your expectations around when things will happen. And just be excited for the change that will happen. Like, I think that's such a marker for me of understanding how energy works, how the universe works, is like now I just get excited for what I'm gonna fulfill. I get super genuinely excited about the future because there's a faith that is inherent in my body. And so I want you to remember, like, that's the kind of core. I know it's hard to do that if you don't have trust, if you don't have faith, but know that that's the goal. And it starts with having that for yourself and just remembering, I'm going to love you no matter what. I'm here for you no matter what. Me on me. I'm proud of you no matter what. I let go of the outcome. I'm here for you. You already won. That's kind of the energy I want you to embody. I think a lot of the time we think if we push harder, things will be done faster and things in our life will be solved better or faster somehow. And really we have to do is put in as much as we can, but then step back and accept and allow. And the metaphor, the way to think about this is just like you can't, once you plant a seed, you don't have to tug on a plant to grow. You just give it love, you give it water, you give it sun, and you step back and you trust. So, with that, Happy New Year. I send you my love and smile.